30 years ago, the world's most powerful supercomputers were national symbols. They filled entire rooms. They consumed megawatts of electricity. They required custom cooling systems and teams of engineers. Governments used them for nuclear simulations, climate modeling, defense research. And today, the chip inside your pocket can perform many of them. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. In raw computational throughput. Your smartphone, the device you scroll on, take photos with, and carry everywhere, contains more peak compute than machines that once defined technological supremacy. So how did we get there? And what does it mean when supercomputer class performance becomes personal? Let's unpack it. Welcome back to Chips Weekly by Diana. I'm Diana, and today we are looking at one of the most extraordinary shifts in computing history. In 1997, the ASCI Red supercomputer became the first system to break 1 teraflop barrier, 1 trillion floating point operations per second. That milestone required thousands of processors, massive power consumption, and a machine the size of the basketball court. At the time, it was revolutionary. Fast forward to today. Modern smartphone chips, like Apple's A-series and M-series mobile variants, Qualcomm's Snapdragon platforms, and Samsung's Exynos can deliver multiple teraflops of GPU performance. On top of that, their neural engines can perform tens of trillions of AI operations per second, all inside a chip smaller than your thumbnail. All powered by a battery, all cooled passively in your hand. This isn't incremental progress, it's a total redefinition of the scale. To understand how dramatic this shift is, we need context. In the mid-1990s, supercomputers were measured in gigaflops, billions of floating point operations per second. Breaking into teraflops, trillions, was a national event. ASCI Red, built by Intel by the US Department of Energy, consumed around 850 kilowatts of power and occupied massive floor space to achieve just over 1 teraflop. By the early 2000s, machines like IBM's Blue Gene pushed performance further, reaching into tens of teraflops, still requiring enormous facilities. These machines were rare, expensive, strategic. Today, a modern smartphone GPU can exceed 2 to 3 teraflops of performance in certain configurations, and its neural engine can deliver 30 to 40 trillion AI operations per second, optimized for machine learning workloads. Of course, we must be careful with comparisons. Supercomputers were optimized for double precision scientific workloads, while phones often use mixed precision and AI-specific arithmetic. But the point remains, compute density has collapsed. What once required industrial infrastructure now fits in your pocket. Here's the real reason this happened. Smartphones didn't become supercomputers by copying them. They became supercomputers by specializing. Old supercomputers were general-purpose, high-performance machines. They ran scientific simulations requiring high-precision, floating-point arithmetic. Modern smartphone chips are not general-purpose in the same way. They are system-on-chips designs, integrating multi-core CPUs for control and logic, high-throughput GPUs for graphics and parallel tasks, dedicated neural processing units optimized for AI, image signal processors for computational photography, video encoders and decoders, security enclaves, high-speed interconnects. Everything sits on a single piece of silicon. Instead of scaling up with more racks, we scaled in with small architecture. AI accelerators inside phones don't compute in 64-bit precision like old supercomputers. They use 16, 8, and even 4-bit arithmetic, where possible, dramatically increasing throughput per watt. It's not brute force, it's precision engineering. Here's the most astonishing comparison. ASCI red required close to a megawatt of electricity to reach 1 teraflop. Your phone reaches comparable or higher peak throughput while drawing only a few watts under heavy load. That is an efficiency leap of several orders of magnitude. This improvement comes from multiple layers of innovation. Advanced semiconductor nodes, 754 and below, pack billions of transistors into tiny areas. High bandwidth on-chip memory reduces data movement energy. AI workloads optimize for matrix multiplication, which hardware designers now accelerate directly in silicon. Power gating allows unused portions of the chip to shut down instantly. Clock scaling adjusts frequency dynamically. Modern mobile chips are masterpieces of energy orchestration. The energy efficiency is now the true currency of compute, because performance without efficiency is useless in your pocket. Now let's talk about what your phone actually does with that power. Your smartphone can now run real-time object detection on live camera feeds, perform computational photography combining multiple frames with neural networks, execute language translation models locally, translate speeches in real time, apply generative AI features to images, all without sending data to the cloud. This is possible because neural agents inside mobile system-on-chips deliver tens of trillions of operations per second, specifically optimized for inference. Inference is different from training. Data centers train massive models using thousands of GPUs. Phones execute the final models, optimized, compressed, and quantized efficiently and privately. This shift means intelligence is decentralizing. AI is no longer confined to hyperscale facilities. It lives in billions of devices. So what does this mean? It means the definition of supercomputer has changed. In 1990s, supercomputing was about raw speed at national scale. Today, supercomputing is about distributed intelligence. There are now billions of AI-capable processors in the world. Collectively, the global smartphone fleet represents one of the largest distributed compute networks ever deployed. Instead of few centralized machines performing elite tasks, we now have the silicon delivering intelligence at the edge. This changes privacy, this changes latency, economics, it also changes power structures. When compute becomes personal, it becomes political. Now we need Nuance. A smartphone is not replacing modern supercomputer. All supercomputers and modern data centers still dominate large-scale scientific simulations, high-precision modeling, and massive parallel training workloads. Phones excel at low-precision inference, real-time multimedia, energy-efficient AI, edge applications. Supercomputer excel at double-precision scientific workloads, climate modeling, physics simulation, large-scale cryptographic research. So this isn't about one replacing another. It's about architectural divergence. The compute was split into the two branches: massive centralized training clusters and billions of distributed inference devices. Your phone sits firmly in the second category. If your phone already rivals all supercomputers, what happens in the next 10 years? There are three trends that are clear. First, AI models will continue moving on device. Small optimized large language models will run locally. Second, chip packaging will improve further. 3D stacking and chiplets may appear in mobile architectures more aggressive. Third, energy efficiency will define leadership. The next race isn't just about performance, it's about how much intelligence you can deliver per watt. And mobile silicon companies are already competing at the frontier of that metric. Here's a bigger insight. The collapse of scaling changed everything. What once required state-level funding now ships in consumer electronics. Supercomputing is no longer rare. And that means the next breakthrough, whether quantum, neuromorphic, or photonic, will follow the same path. First, it will be elite, then industrial, then personal. So let me ask you, if your phone already outperforms supercomputers of 1990s, what will it outperform in 2035? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, like, subscribe, and share Chips Weekly by Diana. And as always, stay curious, stay sharp, and stay chip aware.